Hi learners, welcome to the Backbenchers classes. Myself Utkarsh Singh, and this is going to be a one-stop solution. I think I've already mentioned it quite a time. We are going to cover a lot of government examination preparation material here on this particular channel, from UPSC state PCS to content relevant for even SSC examination, because history, NCERT and all these things are very common for a lot of government examinations. So we are going to bring a lot of those content, history series, NCERT series, Bipin Chandra, all right, Shekhar Bandyopadhyay, a lot of book material, book coverage are going to come. But here we are going to discuss about the UPSC preparation strategy. While you are preparing for UPSC, the biggest challenge that comes into your mind is selecting your optional, because everything is pre-decided in the examination. You only have to make one decision, and that is your optional subject. GS subject are fixed, examination pattern is fixed, you are going to give personality test if you are qualifying mains, all right? So all these things are 100% sure. Only decision that you are going to make is optional. Now a lot of people, as I have discussed in one of my videos on Instagram, they have a wrong tendency to outweigh and think that the 4 GS paper, GS1 to GS4, contributing around 1000 marks in the mains, are more important than the optional paper, and they are going to be your deciding factor. But the reality is otherwise. I've made a reel on this also on Instagram, that if you see even the marks of toppers, we should not consider ourselves as toppers before we become one. The top rankers, the most brilliant minds of the country, and they are not just UPSC toppers, they are associated with the top colleges of India. Either they are from IITs, IIMs, they are from AIMS or some other big medical college, all right? They are individuals from Delhi University, JNU, University of Hyderabad, Zamia, top NIRF ranking colleges. They are getting the top ranks these days, all right? They're from science background, mostly from either medicine or from engineering or from management, all right, IIMs. And if you see their GS marks, excluding the essay paper, the GS1 to GS4, out of 1000 they are able to get around 42 to 43%. Take example of Akshak Jain, who cleared examination I think in his second attempt, and he scored somewhere around 424 in his GS, 42.4%. For a person who is from IIT, for a person who has cleared examination in the second attempt, for a person who has been a genius, a creamy mind from the beginning of his schooling days, he was able to get just 42%. Tina Dabi, one of the most probably popular candidates of UPSC examination, she also got around the same, 421, 424. A lot of other toppers, some of them have only managed to get around 450, 460, 470, but that is quite rare. The average marks of topper is around 42, 43%, and we are talking about the toppers, the creamy minds. An average candidate happens to collect somewhere around 375 to 415 marks, all right? So this is what? This is around 37 to 42%. But if you compare it with your optional subject, you can easily get 55 to 60% in your optional. In fact, Akshat Jain got 335 marks out of 500 in a subject in which he was having no educational background, no prior background. Anthropology optional. And he was able to get 335 marks. 335 means 300 is 60 marks and 350 is 70 marks. So he was 15 marks away from touching that bar of 70%. I think if you calculate it, I think you can use the calculator. I think it was around 67%. So in GS, he was getting 42%. He got 42%, and in optional he got nearly 67%. There's a difference of 25%, which can not only influence your rank, it can throw you out of the game altogether. So that is the sheer importance of optional. Now when we are going to select the optional, the biggest challenge that comes towards us is how we are going to be sure about our optional preparation. I'm going to send this PDF of the entire criteria and a lot of other data which is already given here on our channels. I'll give you a link of the channel. So this is our YouTube channel, and apart from the YouTube, I think you can also follow us on our Telegram space. Let me fetch that for you. Yes, these are our Telegram channel. Do join these. We have 3 channels. For anthropology, as I do take anthropology optional, there is a dedicated channel for anthropology optional. You have to search using @ in the search bar of Telegram, @anthropology by Utkarsh Singh. You'll find my channel. The name of the channel is Anthropology Decoded by Utkarsh Singh. The user ID is this. Second, where we do follow a lot of things from geopolitics, from UPSC government examination preparation, to health and well-being, leading health researches, entertainment, cinema, financial products, stock markets, and a lot of other things. It is a dynamic gold standard channel where you get all the knowledge in the world under one roof. And then there is Backbenchers classes, which is an English channel for most government examination preparation, primarily focusing upon UPSC, state PCS, and SSC examination. All right, but there will be content which can be utilized by other aspirants also, aspirant of other examination, or like learners of other examinations also. It is all English channel, and this one is Hindi and English channel. So you can join them. You will be finding the PDF material free of cost and our guidance on that channel. Now coming back, now whenever you are choosing your optional, you have to keep into mind these criterias, and you have to basically take a paper, which you can take right now also. Take a paper. There are 5 to 6 criterias that you have to give scores against. What are these 5 to 6 criteria? All the criteria are written here on the board. So first you make a column of the criteria, then you give individual marks against them. How you are going to do that? Let us try to understand. The first criteria is overlapping. A lot of people do think that overlapping is very important in the examination, but you need to be aware with the truth that the nature of a subject which you are seeing in prelims, it is also in the GS paper of mains, and it also do exist as an optional subject. The nature of the paper and the nature of the question that is going to be asked is quite different. It is quite different. All right. So the depth, the length, everything is going to be different. You cannot take this decision blindly only upon this factor. And a lot of people do think that I will take history, I'll take let's say geography, I'll take sociology, and this is going to be very contributing in my GS. The honest truth is that all these subjects are only in GS1, and even in GS1, sociology will contribute of minimum of around 60 to maximum 80-85 marks. Similarly, geography and history is also going to contribute around the same marks. You can say on an average of around 80-85% marks they are going to contribute. For this 80-85%, you cannot bet your entire optional preparation. It is not that the overlap with the GS is going to be more than 200, 300, 400% marks. All right. And this type of overlap you get with most of the optional, which are humanities oriented, most top optional. For example, anthro, which is a subject probably the least heard by individuals, specifically when they are not into preparation. When they enter into preparation, they do hear about this subject because a lot of toppers have chosen this particular subject in the past. It is probably called as the factory of toppers. Most toppers in the past 10 years, the highest success rate is associated with this particular optional, anthropology. So if you see in 2023, from anthropology around 83% of the question came. All right. So GS1 is about history, GS1 is about geography, GS1 is about society, art and culture. There is no mention of anthropology, but anthropology has given 83% of marks. 83% of marks. So at times you will be not able to figure out which optional is overlapping, which optional is not. The optional which you will think that is very overlapping because the name is mentioned in prelims GS portion, mains GS portion, and it is in the optional list also, they are going to contribute very less to influence your decision. Yes, there is a plus point of choosing an overlapping optional, that you feel connected with your optional subject. You think that you'll feel that they are going in the same direction. They are going in the same direction. If you choose a subject like mathematics, like physics, they are scoring. They are high risk reward ratio optional subject. You can go very right, you can go very wrong in these subjects. There is a Hindi proverb, chala to chand tak nahi to raat tak. Hai na? So if it works, it will go till moon. It is often said for the fireworks and the like firecrackers used on Diwali. It chala to chand tak. If it works, it will go till moon. If it don't, it will not go beyond this night. All right. So optional is also like that. Overlapping can be a factor, but it is not a decisive factor. How much point you can give for overlapping? Hardly 10% weightage has to be given. If your entire decision making process constitute of 100%, then you are going to allocate only 10% to the overlapping nature. If a subject is overlapping, you can give 10% to that. All right. So you can make a column overlapping, and then the name of the subject, socio, anthro, history. You are not going to make the list of all the options. You'll only have 2 to 3, maximum 4 options in your mind, which you are probably confused that ye bhi lena hai, ye bhi lena hai, I'm willing to take this, I'm willing to take that. And it cannot be the case that you are confused among choosing 28 optional subject or 26 optional subject. It is going to be always 2 to 4 optional in which you are probably confused. So write the name and make the column of these 4 options, and then a column for the criteria. First is overlapping. We are only giving 10% weightage to this particular thing. So you can compare how much, for example, you are confused between PSIR, geography, or say, let's say PSIR, POBAT, socio, anthro. Give marks to it out of 10. How overlapping is it? Or give a marks to it on a scale of 5. How overlapping it is. For example, PSIR is probably the most overlapping optional, directly and indirectly. So you can give 5 out of 5 to PSIR. Anthro, geography, they stand like, not geography, anthro specifically. If you only talk about mains, if you exclude the prelims, then anthro will be second. And this point is largely missed by a lot of people. Anthropology do help you in art and culture. It help in the ancient history portion. It does help in modern history portion. It does help in society portion. It does help in essay and ethics. It does help you in internal security, socialism, separatism. All right, Naxal movement, communal tension, regionalism, all these issues are part of anthropology discussion. It does help you in polity also, safeguard for marginalized communities. All right, PESA, PRIs, 5th schedule, 6th schedule, role of governor. All these are part of anthropology optional, Gram Sabha, etc. So it helps. It also does help you in solving some prelims question of environment, because there is a section of primatology also. It does help you in science and technology, recombinant biotechnology, eugenics, etc. So it helps you in that portion also, science and technology, and general science also. So according to my analysis, anthropology is the second or third most overlapping optional, and this is something that you won't hear from a lot of people, because only those can tell you this fact can be shared by only those people who are associated or who have seen the depth, length of this particular subject or the nature of this particular subject. Not everyone is going to mention that, because if I was not aware with anthropology, I'll be having a view about it that this subject does not reflect in the UPSC syllabus, so how can it overlap? So for being able to know that it is overlapping subject, you have to first know the syllabus of anthropology optional. So a lot more of time, what the counselors says, that see, history is there in GS also and history is optional also. They are not aware with all the, probably they must have done preparation themselves, but they are not aware of all the subject and their syllabus. And that is the reason why they often will tell you that anthropology does not overlap. There is no mention, but I have just mentioned that it is the second or third most overlapping optional. So you can give marks against overlapping. All right. Second is something that is not written. I'll mention here. Okay, it is written here. Background. You have to be very sure that the subject that you are choosing is your true background. And how you are going to make it sure? If that subject is your true background, you have made the decision of taking that subject in your graduation by your heart. That does not happen very much in India. For example, in India, when you have passed class 10th, you are going to choose side or stream in class 11th. There is often a test which is being accompanied, and number of times you do tend to choose science side. For example, if you are afraid with maths, you will go with PCB, physics, chemistry and biology. Why? Because you want to take science, but you are afraid with maths. Then second is you do not want to take art or commerce. Why not? Because according to society, it is something which only the second division or third division students will take. It is not something that the toppers or the first division students take. The society has a perspective on it, so you want to work in that direction. You want to be pleasing towards the society also. So you take that subject, but you do not have any genuine interest. You also score fairly well, not very good, not very bad. Somehow you manage to get 60, 70, 80% marks in your boards in class 12. After that, your options are very limited. you have to do BSc with either physics, chemistry, biology, or some related field. At times people do drop and prepare for CAT or NEET or all these examination. All right. So even when you go to college, there are a lot of distraction, because for the very first time you are getting independence. Specifically if you go out and study. If you are at your home and going to college, options are still limited compared to when you're going outside in some other city for studying. So you start bunking the classes. You start participating in the extracurricular activities, sports, dramatics, all these things. And you just about manage to pass the examination by hook or crook. Let's not go into what hook and crook methods you use to pass in the examination. All right. So this is not your true familiarity with your background subject. You have studied that subject for, let's say, 3 years or 5 years, but you are not having a true grasp over that subject. On the basis of this, you cannot say that this was my background subject and I'm going to choose this. I'm going to choose this. For example, I have studied zoology, I'm going to take zoology, or agriculture or botany, I'm going to take. That decision will backfire, because you have just passed it out, and most of the things after graduation you have already forgot. It has been long time. So that decision can backfire. But if you have genuinely had an interest after 12, for example, you have consciously, without the peer pressure, without parents or society's pressure, if you have selected your subject in class 11th or 12th, you have given boards, you have scored good marks, you have had a grasp on the subject, and that continued even in your graduation, then your background is true background. Then it can be one of the important factor in deciding your optional, but still it will be having a similar weightage as overlapping. You can give this thing a 10% weightage. Background subject, if you are having a background, you can give it 10% weightage. So for, let's say, you are keeping 4 optional, anthropology, sociology, PSIR, and what was else? PubEd was there. Let's suppose you have done BSc with physics, chemistry, and like zoology, botany, and chemistry. You have taken this thing in your BSc. Now, which is the closest subject from your educational background point of view? Physics, chemistry, and biology is not there in political science. It is not there in public administration. It is not even there in sociology. But in anthropology, there is 33% of syllabus which is about physical or biological anthropology. And it is not even BSc level biology. It is around standard, 70% of it is standard 10th level biology. Darwin, who is Darwin, Darwinian theory, Lamarck, Lamarckian theory, what is polygenic inheritance, what is pleiotropy, what is multi-allelism, what is single factor inheritance. All right, what is Mendel's work, what are 3 laws of Mendel, all these things. What is Hardy-Weinberg principle, what factors does influence Hardy-Weinberg principle, what is genetic mutation. So you have already read this thing at the level of 10. They are not even class 12th level biology, and till class 10th everybody has read. So even in the case if you have forget it, it is very easy to grasp these things, very easy. You do not have to derive anything, you do not have to draw very complex diagrams of biology, parenchyma, sclerenchyma, not these things. Very rough, some sketches are there, which is very easy to do. So from the perspective, if you have done like zoology, botany, and chemistry, anthropology is going to be something that you will give most marks. For overlapping, you gave marks to PSIR first, second anthropology. And for this background, you are going to give 0 marks to all the others, 5 full marks to anthropology if you are doing. For example, if you had MA political science, then give marks to political science or history or whatever subject you are having. I'm not saying that only for one subject, it can depend. The third factor is short and static. See, optional is a long game. It takes around, on an average, 6 months. There are few options which may take around 4 months. There are few options which take around 10 months. On average, we say around 6 to 7 months of time you have to spend on covering the foundation. Then you have to spend time on answer writing, revision, mock test, and a lot of other things, enrichment, value addition. So it is going to take a lot number of time. So you have to make it sure that the subject is short enough. For example, if you are having a short subject which is not very dynamic, then you will be having independence to give more mock test, write more answers, get ready with crisp, summarize notes for your mains examination, because these days the biggest problem is that you are having optional content of around 1000, 1500 or 2000 pages. The time that you get between the result of prelims and the mains is less than 3 months. It is not humanly possible to read 500 to 700 pages each month when you have to cover GS also and current affairs also. So it is not humanly possible. It is not possible. So you have to take a subject which is short and you have to make small notes of it in answer writing format. All right. Plus you have to revise it also, you have to do enrichment also. So the shorter the subject, you get more chance to do all of these things. If the subject is taking 7 to 8 months, 9 months, and at top of that you have to contribute time for revision, answer writing, note making, mock test, enrichment, it is going to take 3 to 4 months extra. So it will be more than 1 year for your optional subject, 14 hard months for your optional preparation. That is not ideal. Second is dynamicity. If the subject is highly dynamic, like PSIR is highly dynamic, PABAT is also decently dynamic. So this will going to, even if the static portion is taking around 6 months, the dynamic portion is going to consume a lot of time period and energy, and you're always going to be skeptical that is there something that is missing out. There will be a FOMO factor involved. On the contrary, subjects like history, subjects like sociology, anthropology, they are largely static, they are not dynamic. But the problem with some of these is that history is highly like exhaustive, it is very lengthy, just like geography. Geography is so dynamic also in a way, not completely static. So the two subjects that remains in the realm of static and popular optional, sociology and anthropology. Among these two, sociology take roughly around 6 months, anthropology take roughly around 4.5 months. So anthropology is much shorter and static optional. All right. Next thing is success rate and toppers. So for that, you do not have to see only a couple of years toppers and their success rate of each optional. You have to fetch UPSC annual list, and based upon the annual list you have to make your mind that which subject is giving most number of toppers, which subject is having highest success rate. This is not going to be a decisive factor, but it is going to give you a moral boost, make you feel confident about the selection of subject that you are going ahead with. For example, some option like history, they were having decent success rate earlier when around 2000 plus students were giving mains with these subjects. They were highly popular when UPSC was dominated by humanities aspirant. Nowadays, like MBBS students, engineering students, BCA, MCA, BBA, MBA students, they are coming into the field. All right. So the selection spectrum of these options has fallen a lot, and their success rate have also drastically fallen. From around being 6 to 7%, they have fallen to be around 4.5% to 5%. From 2,000 to 3,000 students giving mains with these subjects, they have fallen to around 400 to 700 students giving mains with this particular subject. So you have to be sure that is the subject that I'm going to choose is in trend, good amount of selection is coming, success rate is better, and also the average marks. For that you have to see the scoring. What is the average marks that people are getting? For example, sociology is a decent option, it is also giving rank, but it is difficult to score great marks in these subjects compared to subjects like, let's say, anthropology, in which one of the topper has scored 362 marks, something which even for maths students it is not possible. Why I'm saying comparing with math? Because for math 2 plus 2 is equal to 4. I'm giving you a layman example. It is not going to be asked in the optional paper, but 2 plus 2 is 4. If you write 4, anything does not matter, you will get full marks. But in humanities, you get lesser marks. For example, even in your school days when you were writing letters, essays, etc., you are not getting full marks despite writing the best of the answer. You'll get 8.5, 9, 9.5 like this. Full marks nahi milta tha. And there are, if 3-4 question, essay, application, all these things, letter, then half marks deducted from each side. At best also you are going to potentially get 96 marks. 4 marks are going to be automatically deducted from all these passage, letters, all these, from where you are not going to get full marks. So humanities or subjective optional subject do have this problem that the scoring is limited, whereas completely objective subjects like mathematics, physics to a great degree, they are highly scoring. But even mathematics topper, most popular topper in the recent year, Kanish Kataria, he fetched 361 marks with a highly objective subject like maths. And one anthropology subject who is not even in the top 20 list, named Lakshmi Nagappan, with anthropology options he scored 362 marks. 362 marks with a subject which is not purely objective. So anthropology is good in this regard that it is like a bridge. It is between humanities and sciences. That is why we say it is most humanistic of the sciences and most scientific of the humanities. The humanities part will make you feel connected with the GS, and it will also help you find greater overlapping. And the objective part of it, the science part of it, it is going to increase your overall marking or scoring in the examination. All right. For example, with maths, a lot of students do face this dilemma that their optional preparation is going in one direction, their GS preparation is going in the other direction. So that is a problem I think you need to skip. Last point, something which is the most important factor. Now you have to give 50% weightage to this factor, that is interest level. All the other things you are going to only give 10%. Interest level has to be prioritized. It is going to be allotted 50%. As I've mentioned earlier also, optional is like your marriage. It is a long-term association. It is not a brief, it is not a short-term engagement. And it is not a fling that you are going to spend few days, few months with it. A long time of duration with answer writing, enrichment, mocks, revision, foundation. It is going to take decent amount of 6 to 9 months for every optional. Even for anthro socio, which is a shorter optional, all the things included is going to take 8 to 9 months. For some of the subject, it can be 14 to 15 months also, which for those even foundation are taking 10 months time period. With all the other things, it will take 14, 15 months at times. So interest level has to be there. You have to sustain your interest level, just like you have to make sure that your motivation sustains in the journey. If your interest is dropping every day, it is going to be a problem. It is going to be a problem. All right. Now, this is one list which I have downloaded from internet. You can also find it on our Telegram channel, which I have mentioned in the beginning. You'll see the success rate of a different optional. Anthropology is currently among the popular subject. It is having the highest selection rate, 10.5%. You'll see that people in mathematics or somewhere probably in medical science, the success rate is 15.4%. But why is it so? Because math is only given by people, firstly, who have medical background specifically. A person who has done BSc, a person who has done BA, a person who has done BCA, they cannot take medical sciences as a subject or as an optional. They cannot take it technically as a subject. But a person who has done medical science or BC or BBA, they can take history, they can take sociology, they can take anthropology, polity, geography. These are common optionals which anybody can take, irrespective of their background. So in medical science, only the people who are suited for the field, who have completed the degree, who have devoted 4 to 5 years plus NEET preparation years, plus the class 10 to 12 biology from foundation to expertise, those who have contributed, only these students take medical science as an optional, because it is vast, exhaustive, the guidance, mentorship, good amount of material, it is quite lacking in this particular option. So even a lot of doctors do not prefer to take this optional. They take some other option because they will get overlapping nature, etc. For example, Mayur Hazarika, somebody I think who scored top 10 rank in 2022-23. Mayur Hazarika is a medical professional. I think Wasim Bhatt the same year also, he was also a medical professional. Dr. Apala Mishra, one of the candidates in our past, I think around 2018 or 19. Her notes are also available every here and there. So she was also from medical field. But despite being from medical field, these people are not choosing medical science as their optional. Why? Because they have better option. This option is vast, material is lacking, guidance support is lacking, and difficult to score. So only those people are going here who are highly confident about what they are going to do. So there are some subjects which you will see that they have a better success ratio, but they are mostly those subjects who have a great degree of specialization, and a random person cannot choose those subjects. Among the subjects that can be taken by any individual, the most number of toppers and the greatest success rate has come from this optional. There are other options also. You can go around with the list, you can pause it somewhere and see it. So we'll be winding up here. If you do have any doubts, do put that in the comment section. And as we have mentioned, a lot of NCERT series lectures, book series, Bipin Chandra, Lakshmikant will be coming with a lot of things on this particular channel free of cost. I'm also going to launch an Ember and Ember series. Those of you who have heard about this particular book, which is associated with anthropology optional, I'm going to bring a complete lecture here on this particular channel. So if you are willing to associate, you can subscribe to this channel. Make sure that it reaches to a great number of people so that we can get encouraged to further in our endeavor. Thank you very much for joining in. Have a very nice day. All the best for your preparation. Goodbye. All your queries in the comment box.